Hello, how everybody's doing today? On my show, we're going to interview Tiffoni Stepney, and she's going to talk about her organization that she created called ESW. I'm personally connected to the organization. I'm the vice president. Me and Tiffoni have known each other a long time. We've been going. We went to college together. We went to Olive Harvey. Everybody in the organization kind of knew each other already. Many of us went to the same college. Um, so we're going to open it up and we're going to ask Tiffoni Stepney, which is the president of the organization, what is ESW about?
Well, ESW stands for Every Step of the Way Resource Center. And I got the name Every Step of the Way Resource Center because my maiden name is Stepney. So I always want to have the word step inside of whatever I
Okay.
created. So my father's last name is Stepney. That's why I chose to say Every Step of the Way Resource Center. And the shamrock that is the logo of our organization has to do with his nickname, which was Shamrock. He passed away unexpectedly in 2018. So this is like a homage to, you know, to him. And why I started the organization was because once my daughter graduated from the special education system at age 22, resources and programming were limited, and especially for children who range in the moderate, severe to profound range. So my daughter has autism, but this is not the only disability that encounters this problem with programming and resources after age 22. So I started to realize I was not the only parent with this problem. And I just decided to take, my expertise as an educator, a regular educator, special educator, and then my lived experience as a child who had a parent of a child who has autism,
Okay.
and create the organization to help, you know, intellectually disabled adults and their families with resources and referrals in their individualized areas of need.
Okay. So, when did you recognize your daughter like had something like going on with her? Like when did that happen?
Well, around 18 months, I noticed that my daughter had regressed in far as her abilities. She was talking, she was attentive, she was interacting with us, giving eye contact, and and it seems like she met all her milestones, but she was regressing from those milestones. And so I took her to the doctor when she was like 18 months and expressed my concern that she was regressing. And the doctor told me that she, that was normal. And I guess I was like, okay, so I'm just listening to the doctor. Maybe I'm, from what I read, maybe I'm misunderstood. So when I saw that she was getting progressively worse with regressing with all the abilities that she had, then I had went to my mother and I told her everything my daughter was doing, and she said, "Have you ever heard of autism?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I heard of it, but I didn't know too much about it." And then she had a medical dictionary, and she said, "Well, look it up." So when I looked it up, it was like every symptom that they said, or every characteristic that they said that was of a person who had autism, she matched that characteristic. So from there, I just knew I had to get her diagnosed. So I took her to a children's hospital to get her evaluated and diagnosed. And by age 2, she was diagnosed with autism.
Okay, okay. So, like, with your daughter having autism, what was some of the things that you encountered as far as like resources? Did you have things in hand to help you? Was it just like you just constantly searching for things to kind of help you in the process of helping her have a better life? Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Well, you have to kind of look back. This was like 1999 when this
Mm,
happened. So the resources were minimal. But I do remember early intervention services that usually, ranges from 0 to 3 years old. So she was 2 at
mm.
the time. So she did have a year of early intervention until she moved into the Chicago public schools, and she was in the program 3 because they had it broken up at the time by age. So she was in the early intervention program at 2 years old to 3, and then she went to another Chicago public schools program was age 3 to 5, and then she stayed in that program. And I felt like both programs were good, but she needed a lot of therapy outside of school. because the therapy is obviously limited in school. So, and then two, if you want to get outside therapies, they were, you had to pay out of pocket, or you had to
Oh,
have a certain
wow.
type of insurance. And really, insurances weren't really paying for therapies then. So,
Mm,
and then too, when she was diagnosed, and I remember doing the research on this because, it wasn't like the internet was that popular where you could, it was like people were using it, was available everywhere.
mm,
I had to, you know, use encyclopedias and, things like
mm,
that. And they were saying autism, it was 1 in 10,000 children being diagnosed a year. So it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
mm,
So this resource were definitely limited. And it was a lot of things that doctors and therapists and even, the education system didn't know. They just knew what it was, but they didn't really know the best course of care for my
mm.
child.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now with the age, like I know probably when she was younger, she may have more resources, but when she got a certain age, what was that like? How old is your daughter now? Like I know because a lot of times when a lot of clients or people have disabilities when they get a certain age, it's kind of like it kind of just thrown out there. Have you experienced that? I mean, is it still a lot of things for individuals that become adults with the disability?
Well, I feel that not for her age, because she's 27 at this point.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
because that was the barrier that we ran into, was about how services stopped at age 22. So you
mm,
might find more services
mm,
um before the age of 22, but they call it aging out in the special education system.
mm,
So after she aged out, those resources were even more limited than they were before then. So I
mm,
do feel like it's definitely depends on your child's age. So maybe a 10-year-old at this point has more resources than a 10-year-old did have back when my
mm,
daughter was
mm,
10.
mm.
But it's so now we're at this threshold where she's aged out, so it's even more limited. So yeah, we had limited resources, but it's even more limited now than ever.
Okay, man. How does that do like with your support system? Because I know you can't do that all by yourself. And how about your family and people? Do you have anybody that kind of understands the situation and kind of is helpful, or is it just kind of like you finding most of it on you? Like on you.
Yeah, well, and that was another reason why I started the organization as well, is because my fear of, if something happened to me, or her stepfather, who is like my support system, then
Mm,
my daughter, if she doesn't have anything now while we're here, what is it going to look like when we leave here? So
mm,
it's like, that's why I want to set up this support system and facility and programming that can meet her
mm.
needs, because
Wow.
some people can't, due to their ability level, some parents may have children that can work,
Mm,
and live independently with certain supports. But if
mm,
your child needs high supports, then, and they can't live independently, they need 24-hour supervision,
mm,
then, that's very scary to a parent like me. So that's why I started the organization, to be give resource and emotional supports, and to create those facilities and programming that kids like my daughter and other people with children, I mean parents with children with disabilities, that and I want it to be where it meets the needs of all ability levels. But I just feel
mm,
like when you fall in the moderate to severe profound range,
mm,
then that's where you see more lack of resources. So,
mm,
it's very hard, because, other people have lives too, and they have things they have going on, and they have, their family to deal with and their children to deal with. So I understand that it's hard to have a support system, especially when your child needs 24-hour supervision, or somebody always has to be at home with them, or, so I understand that. So that's why I'm creating the organization to, and along with my board members, we're trying to build on that,
right, right.
to
Now,
leave
now,
something behind.
listening to you and hearing what you're saying, it's like your daughter became to a certain age now, but you want to give back and help some of the other parents and some of the people. Now, what is it something that you always had in you to help others, or is it something your dad or somebody instilled in you, or you just naturally uh, want to give back? You know, what is your like motivation? Is it just something like you want to do, make it lighter for others, or what is
Yeah.
your passion in this?
Yeah, I mean, and I was just thinking about that too. Like when you asked about the support system, that's why, this is honoring my father because he was my support system. And I just
Mhm.
remember at a young age that he had empathy and compassion for people with disabilities. And, not knowing I was going to have a disabled child growing up, but it still instilled in me that compassion and empathy for people with disabilities. So when I just seen a lot of parents struggling with supports and
Mhm.
resources and programming, and then along with my child, I just
Mhm.
felt like it was,
Mhm.
it was necessary for me to do, to be able to, I'm just hoping to leave a legacy behind for my child and other people's children, to where if something were to happen, then they will have a place that they know that they will feel comfortable with their child being in a safe and productive environment. So, and if we don't stand up and say anything or push the issue, then we're going to continue to be ignored and not have the supports and programming that our children need. So
That's powerful.
I'm glad that my father instilled that in me. But yeah, it actually gives me joy to help other people out and see them make progress. So even if I don't have the supports, I definitely feel good when I can give people supports in their areas of need.
Okay, what's some of the roadblocks that you encounter, like as far as support from the community, support from the world abroad? I mean, is people kind of forthcoming and kind of seeing your vision and contributing, or was it like what's it like? Because this is something that you are passionate about. Like, what's it like as far as the support from others?
Well, it's a little harder than I thought, but we're making progress. I think that sometimes, you may have to step out on faith and be the leader in things, and then people will see your vision and understand, because I definitely believe trust is a factor with certain things. And then two, certain people are, they're trying to live day by day and
Mm-hmm.
hour by hour, and they don't have the energy or to be able to support like they would. But I think
Okay.
that once people see my passion and my progress, what I mean, and what we're doing, and even though when I say my passion, my progress, this organization came from my passion and progress of this situation, but us coming together collectively as a board and trying to figure out what are the areas in need in society that the disability community will benefit from. Then I think that once they see the progress that we're making collectively, then more people will support. But if you really think, we only been in public for 1 year, and
Mm-hmm.
we've done pretty good, far as getting support and and the help in the areas that we need. I could see that people are taking us more seriously, especially
Okay.
as they see what we're doing.
Okay, like as far as activities gone, like what type of activities have you done, and what type of activities do you foresee like in the future? What's the long range game? I know you got a short range game, and like, okay, I want to do this, but what's your vision about, like, where do you want to see ESW go? Like for all the people watching, so they can be involved, they can know that they may have children that want to, or young adults that they want to be part of the program. What can they, how can they involve themselves with the ESW?
Well, my long-term vision, and like when I keep saying because I know we're all together in this, but I just know that, like we're going off the vision because I have the lived experience. But my long-term vision that we are gonna come together to be able to execute is, you know, programming facilities,
Mm-hmm.
group homes, respite care,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a school after age 22 that they can age into versus aging out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would love it for it to be where parents with the same that have the same needs, we come together and create a community of practice where we solve our own issues in the sense of creating programming and creating these facilities together, designing a group home that will meet the individualized
That's
area
good.
needs of our kids. So that's the vision that I see, that, the long term. And I don't want it to be, because, we always say every step of the way resource center, but our full name is Every Step of the Way Resource Center for Adults with Intellectual Disabilities. I want it to be where we help people of all disabilities, adults with
Oh,
all
that's good.
disabilities, not just
That sounds good.
intellectual. So I want it to grow in that way as well.
Okay, that's a good. I think the persons watching this they will get a good understanding. Um, we almost over, but I want to ask you this: like for events this year, do you have anything lined up? Because I know I was watching the news and I saw y'all on the news uh, early on, and about the things y'all doing. So, what events do you see coming coming up? Is anything coming soon, or like anything that people can take part in? You know, or
Yeah.
just come support? You know, you got anything coming up?
Yes. Well, first, yeah, first of all, well, we're in June, we're going to be starting a out-of-home respiratory care program.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the participants in that particular program already, but it's going to be like a pilot program to
Mm-hmm.
where we can make a case for funding
Mm-hmm.
to actually extend the program and add more participants to the program.
Okay.
So obviously, you and I, Nate, although I'm the board president, ESW board vice president, we're both special educators. So I
Right.
felt
That's
like it
true.
was very important to have special educators over the program, because we didn't want it to be just a general respite care program. We want it to be a program in which they are doing recreation and academics. So, because especially since at age 22 when they age out, they no longer have access to that education that individualized education that they received before.
I got you.
So I'm just talking about that, just basically like
I
about what
understand.
we're trying to do. And then on top of it too, we're going to have our walkathon event for Disability Pride Month. That's going to be Sunday, July 21st
That's
at the
good.
Oaklawn Park District Community Pavilion. It's going to be a celebration for Disability Pride Month, and it's going to be a fundraiser for the out-of-home respite care program as well. So the registration will be available on Monday, April 22nd via our website.
Mm-hmm.
We have an ESW News, Media, and Events tab. So you'll click on there and then you'll be able to register. And those proceeds, like I say, will help us, fund our respite care program, because we want to keep it going beyond the month of June if we can. Because
I got you.
I got the idea for the respite program because the people that will call in, that was the highest area of need, is the respite care, is they need respite care for their children. So,
Right.
we've been able thus far to give resources and referrals to 100 families thus far. So I would say 95% of those families would say we need respite care.
That's
So
good.
that's very, very important to us to be able to bring that to the community.
Okay, now, how can somebody get in touch with you as far as information, or like if they want to donate time, they want to donate money, want to volunteer? How could they get in touch with the group? Is it
Okay,
anything?
well, all information can be accessed via our website, www.esw2022.org. That 2022 is numerical numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And our email is everystepoftheway 2022@gmail.com.
Okay.
And our phone number is 773-231-6376. But the website is the best way to be able to get all our information. If people want to volunteer or just finding more information about us, make a donation, whatever, everything's on the website. So that will give you a good idea of what we're trying to do.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, we're about to end the interview. Do you want to leave, like, is any message you want to say to the people, final words, uh, anything on your mind, anything you want to say concerning ESW, or just anything you got on your mind?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all my supporters or my board members, you know, and I just would like just the people to learn more because I know that since it's such a big deficiency in our city and state, you know, and it's not a lot of organizations that support disabled adults. I just would love for people to go to the website, see what we're doing and keep, stay tuned, check us out on a regular basis. But yeah, but things are going great thus far, and it makes me feel good to see that there is a need for this in the community and the impact that we're making thus far. So thank you to you all and to you,
It's
Nate, as well.
powerful. Yeah,
Mhm.